Chintani, and welcome to yet another Godfather Minute. My name is Alex Robinson.
My name is Andy Robinson.
And together we are the Godfather Minute Brothers, here with our giant 150th episode.
It would be true if my father was still alive. Alex, repeat after me. E minuto. Numero.
Cento.
50.
Oh my gosh, I thought it was going to be something easy.
Oh, come on. Repeat after me.
Minuto numero.
150.
50.
You got it.
Wow.
That sounds like a bounty hunter from the Outer Rim.
Yeah, I was going to say, I felt like I was speaking Huttese when I said that line.
Or maybe that's a Jawa exclamation. 50.
So, yes, minute 150.
Big 150.
It's a big 150, and it's a big, I would say it's an iconic scene for minute 150.
Wow. Okay.
We're in the garden. Don explains his guiding principles, how he refused to be a pawn in someone else's game, and how he'd had big plans for Mikey's future, but there just wasn't enough time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, someone on the internets said they liked it when we read the script out loud. So considering this is just two characters, I think we should do that for this minute.
Yeah, why don't we start with that so people understand what we're talking about the rest of the minute.
Exactly.
So who do you want to be, Vito or Michael?
I'll be Michael.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'll be Vito next time.
I haven't practiced this because I didn't know we were going to read it, but I'll give it my best shot.
Just like Brando, I'll put the words on my chest on my cue card.
Dummy cards.
Dummy peoples.
So Vito Corleone in the previous minute laughed and he said, reading the funny papers. Do you think Marlon Brando, when the camera is not rolling and they talk about dummy cards, he says, reading dummy cards?
Yes, I do think he says that.
Okay, here we go. My name Momo. My name Momo. My name Momo.
We are in the garden of the Corleone compound. The aged Don sits sipping anti-gravity wine while the new Don, Michael Corleone, looks on concernedly.
Say action.
Oh, action.
Do the wood thing slightly. Well, I knew that Santino was going to have to go through all this.
Cut. That was last week's minute.
What's wrong? What?
That was last week's minute.
Oh, you're right. Raise the dummy cards.
Pick it up after he says something about Fredo.
Okay, I see it. Okay. Raise the dummy cards. I can't see them.
Okay, so now we are doing the Don in the garden.
Dummy cards.
Take 2. Now we're in the garden, and the aged Don sits talking to his youngest son about business. Action.
Do the wood slap
Oh,
thing.
Sorry. Action.
Fredo was, but I never wanted this for you, and I worked my whole life. I don't apologize to take care of my family, and I refuse to be a fool dancing on the string held by all those big shots. I don't apologize. That's my life. But I thought that when it was your time that you would be the one to hold the strings. Senator Corleone, Governor Corleone, or something.
Another Pesavasante?
Well, there wasn't enough time, Michael. Wasn't enough time.
We'll get there, Pop. We'll get there. And scene.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, sorry. End scene.
Oh, yeah. Nice job. Are we going to overdub Michael's lines later? Because you didn't sound like Michael. You sound like the guy you sound like James Earl Jones,
Oh, really?
who was called in to do Mo Green's lines.
Yeah, so there we go. So the Don...
We'll get there, Pop.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
We'll get there, Pop. So my takeaway from this minute overall is it's kind of sweet and sad.
Yeah.
Because it shows that ultimately Don does believe in America. Like he thinks that if he just works hard and applies, and that he can eventually become one of the people who pulls the strings. And notice the examples he gives for how he envisions Michael's future. He doesn't say like, "Oh, you could have been the CEO of a big company, of a famous trumpetist." He specifically mentions two public service government jobs, Governor Corleone and Senator Corleone. So it's definitely a buying into America kind of thing, So
it's very interesting analysis, Alex.
Thank you.
Do you think that Don Corleone wants him to get into those positions because they are powerful yet corrupt positions? Where it's the epitome of running a crime family,
I would say,
or because it truly is an honorable profession, and it would show everyone that the Corleones have gone legitimate and are American.
More the latter. I think.
Oh, okay.
I think the Don would regard any powerful. I don't think to him he sees it in terms of corruption or purity. He just sees it in terms of business. So. I think to be in a respected job like a senator or a governor, that comes with a certain amount of respectability to it, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't think he thinks, oh, senators aren't corrupt. Obviously he knows senators are corrupt and politicians are corrupt, but I just think he just knows that that's the way the world works,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure we'll talk about it in about 35 more minutes when Michael is interacting with Senator Geary.
Yeah.
That's an interesting. I wonder in that scene in GF2 when Michael is making the deal, he's bargaining with Senator Geary, if he thinks back to the scene where his own father had hoped that at some point he would become a senator. Because remember in that scene, Michael will go on to say that we're not so different.
Yeah, they're part of the same hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to watch Don dealing with how a politician would treat Don. We only see it happen kind of off camera. We hear they sent flowers and the judges couldn't be here and that stuff, but we never see how they personally interacted with them. Because certainly Geary treats him with just contempt. But you certainly can't imagine that New York senators treated Don Corleone that way.
Yeah.
So
I wonder how Don Corleone treats the politicians. Does he treat him like Johnny? He spent time with the family. Well, look at you, you're crying.
I think he treats the politicians the same way he treats nickels and dimes.
What do you mean?
Yeah, he just keeps them in his pocket.
I think when he meets with the local labor leaders and the city councilmen, he goes, wait, hold on, I got something for you. He turns his head. He does the orange mouth monster move on it. That's how he scares them into doing what he wants them to do.
Either your signature or some freshly squeezed orange juice is going to wind up in that contract.
Yeah, a good mutual friend of ours told me you were suffering from scurvy. I brought you some oranges. Don't believe what the movie critics say. It doesn't mean someone's going to die in the next scene. That's all a coincidence.
That's why they wanted to move to Las Vegas so they could take over the Tropicana.
Oh. It is great how, we probably talked about this, how the orange comes from Florida, right? And Hyman Roth, that's the fiefdom of Hyman Roth.
Fiefdom.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. Our friend in Miami.
So like you said, a lot of iconic lines in this minute, Alex.
Yeah, let's take it.
So are they
let's
really
break it down.
iconic, or are they Godfather minute iconic for you and me?
Well, I would say it's a mix. I would say we'll get there, Pop, and that's
That's just you and me.
That's just you and me.
Yeah.
But like the way probably my first ever exposure to Marlon Brando was listening to on that Saturday Night Live sketch with John Belushi and Peter Boyle doing dueling Brando impressions. Yeah. And John Belushi just says, "Come on, Senator Corleone, Governor Corleone, there wasn't enough time, Michael." Yeah. So to me, that seems like an iconic line, because that was literally one of the first things I was ever exposed to, like seeing The Godfather in, mass culture. That kind of thing, so.
And The Godfather had not been out very long, probably when that.
Oh yeah, it was
just
probably
a couple years.
Yeah,
right?
it was a fairly fresh
so
movie.
Do you
at
think
time.
that they made that particular line more famous, more known in pop culture? There wasn't enough time, Michael.
I don't know. This whole scene to me seems like it's kind of created to give Brando a kind of like showcase monologue. Mm-hmm. So that's what especially because it's really the last time the next time we see him, he's dead. So I feel like this is kind of like I feel like it must have stood out as, I bet like when they showed the Oscars and they said the nominee is Marlon Brando and they showed the clip, this is the clip they would show as an example of his acting in the movie.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean?
I would have thought they'd show the Orange Mouth Monster for Best Children's Terror.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
That's what, we'll have to talk about greatest. What moments would they show the different actors for their awards?
All right, we'll bring that up in the bonus content.
Carlo, of course, clean it up.
I think with Kay, it would just be a medley of, "Oh, Michael. Oh, Michael." All the different.
And then have to slip one in of Florence Henderson. "Oh, Mike."
All right, so let's break it down line by line.
Whoa, before we break it down, one more thing.
Yes.
He says we'll get there, Pop. You and I think when we talk to our father, we should start calling him Pop. And let's try to slip in as much as possible. We'll get there, Pop. And just see how long it takes him to catch on that we're both doing this separately. And let's see if he even notices.
Okay.
As we've talked about offline, maybe online, our father is recovering from the COVID-19. And so his thinking is not very clear. I wonder if
what better time to start surprising him with new, calling him by a different name.
Yeah. I wonder if he'll connect it to The Godfather. Probably not, right?
I doubt it.
Yeah, it's a deep cut line.
No, I would say it's iconic, but it's, I don't think he would necessarily. All right, so let's break it down. Can we finally break it down?
Let's break it down. Let's break it down.
So the first line Don says is, "I never wanted this for you. I worked my whole life. I don't apologize to take care of my family." So that's he says he doesn't apologize twice in this. So he's definitely emphasizing that point, that apologizing is not what he does.
Standing his ground that what he did was the right thing.
Yeah. So then he says, I refuse to be a fool dancing on a string held by all those big shots. Yeah. Which is, of course, that's what Francis Ford Coppola's like, that's what we should do for the logo, is have a little puppet hand. So, yeah.
Do you think it was when he was delivering that line? That's when the inspiration came to Francis Ford Coppola?
Well, I think originally he said, I don't apologize to take care of my family, and I refuse to be a fool who looks like a sock with a hand up his ass. So those big shots, it was gonna be a sock puppet, and it didn't play as well. So the
Godfather sock puppets. That's it.
Punch and Judy show.
Yeah. I already made dinner for you. It's gonna clean it up. Those are my sock puppet voices of the characters. Send Freda to do a puppet show for the kids in 4th grade. Send Freda to sew buttons on the socks for the homeless kids.
So then he says,
I want respect. I want to do real, what is it called? Not puppetry. What's the more advanced form of puppetry?
Marionette?
A
Muppet?
Never mind. I was trying to get at that Fredo didn't want to be considered just a sock puppeteer. He wants respect. He wants to move on. He wants to be regarded as a skilled marionettist.
An artist.
Yes. So what else we got? I don't apologize. That's my life.
And so he says, but that when it would be your time, that you would be the one holding the strings. Now, I found this confusing because do you think, does he mean it literally, like he envisioned Michael being like a marionette puppeteer?
No.
You think do you think he means it? In what sense does he mean it then?
Maybe he does. We know he's getting older and he's not thinking straight.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, let's see. The Don's slipping.
He's getting soft. Maybe talk about puppets? What's up with that?
Maybe he didn't mean to, that he wanted him to be a real puppeteer. Your wife is a teacher. I figured a natural profession for you would be a puppeteer.
You'll be putting on shows for strangers.
You've already got those ribbons on your war shirt, your war uniform. You want to take those ribbons off, you can make them into noses and eyes and little sock puppets.
I've admired Frank Oz ever since he ran the Muppet Show back in the 70s.
We shipped in yarn and buttons from Canada,
smuggled inside the Muppets. Oh no, we brought in all that yarn with Muppets provided by your father.
Awesome. It's great.
Yeah, so then of course he says, Senator Corleone, Governor Corleone.
Mm-hmm. And then Michael chimes in and says, another pezzo novante.
So by that he means another big shot?
Yeah, so that means 90 caliber.
Yeah.
And it's used it's used in an unflattering way toward a politician or someone who has power.
Uh-huh.
So what's odd, or maybe it's not odd, what Don Corleone is saying, Michael, I wanted you to be one of these big shots.
Yeah.
But Michael is saying, Michael seems to be saying, but that's just another pezzo novante. That's just another 90 caliber big shot.
Yeah.
In the sense that Michael doesn't think that's a good move to go that route.
Well,
because the Don is saying it in a flattering way here.
Yeah.
But Michael seems to not agree with him.
That's interesting. Right? Maybe because the Don is A, slipping, and B, he's an old school guy who, to him, being a governor or being a senator is like we said, has an honor position. But Mikey seemed in GF3, as we learned, Mikey definitely pursues more of the corporate route as opposed to becoming I guess he couldn't become he probably had too much dirty laundry where he could have become a senator.
Yeah.
Because back then, people expected politicians to be like above them and more moral than them and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it's just a different time, Michael.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you think Michael would be a better senator or governor?
Senator.
Senator. Why is that?
Well, you mean more effective at both of those jobs?
What is better suited for his personality?
Okay. Senator.
Senator.
I get the impression they're both very political professions, of course, but they're both political positions. But I feel like a governorship requires more day-to-day running of a state.
Interesting.
Whereas a senator is making big decisions,
big deals,
and is not.
It's like you have to go into work every day.
Yeah, and they're also and they're voting with groups, and they're getting.
Well, the groups part is what made me not think he would be a good senator because he's not a good compromiser. He is very dictatorial.
Oh, so maybe you're right. Governorship would be more aligned to his personality and how he likes to do business.
Yeah, but who knows?
Yeah. Gosh, I really don't know what the day-to-day life of a governor is.
It's kind of hard to tell because we don't see anyone willing to compromise. Every time Mikey confronts someone and offers a compromise, they refuse him. Mo Green, Senator Geary, So we never see someone who's willing to deal with Michael. And I guess Hyman Roth is as close as we get to someone who was like, he's trying to negotiate a deal with Roth. And of course, they're both trying to kill each other behind the scenes. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he's just not made for politics. He's almost like too scheming for politics.
It makes sense that he goes corporate.
Yeah.
Because you have more control over the outcomes.
But it seems like he now wants the same thing for Anthony because he wants him to go to law school and become a lawyer and that stuff. So
also the world of a corporate CEO, I imagine, is much less public than a high level politician, and so that the privacy also suits Michael's goals.
Yeah, and like you said, if you're a CEO, you don't have to go into work every day.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Do you go to work any day?
Hey, me personally, I take that golden parachute and get the heck out of there. Get the hell out of there. But
we're offering you 2 years severance pay and full benefits. Now you get the hell out of here.
Typing lessons.
I'd appreciate it if your car took me to the HR office where I could start cashing my checks.
I guess Tom would be the HR guy of the business.
Yeah.
We should do like The Office, but with Godfather characters.
Oh, that's great. That's really funny.
I guess Michael Scott is more like Fredo than anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's tough. That's tricky to think about.
Yeah. I don't think it's an exact one-to-one correlation, but it would be an interesting mashup, I think.
Yeah.
MASH. Godfather meets MASH.
Oh, it's perfect.
Totally. They should have had Al Pacino do a cameo like in a military outfit on MASH. That way we could pretend that it was Michael Corleone fighting in Korea.
Oh, I see. Well, I have a couple things from the book, Alex. You ready?
Oh, right. Oh, wait. Are you saying the book is different than the movie?
The book is different than the movie. The book is different than the movie. The book is different. The book is different. The book is different than the movie. Yeah.
You got it, Alex. Yeah. Alex, there is a key difference between the book and the movie, and we talked about it hours and hours ago. Podcast minute, hours and hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read it for you. Page 17, Puzo writes.
Page 17?
17.
So it's very early. Very early.
Way back. Series. Yep. Puzo writes, every guest noticed that the Don, so this is the wedding. Every guest noticed that the Don paid no particular, this is Connie's wedding.
Okay.
Okay. Because I just realized Michael and Kay have gotten married too.
Right.
Puzo writes, every guest noticed that the Don paid no particular attention.
This is Connie and Carlo's wedding from the beginning of the movie.
That's what I said. Page 17.
Okay.
Way back. We're going way back.
Okay.
Alex, give me a Casey Kasem lead in going all the way back to the wedding.
Okay, here we go. American Top 40. Our next bit of trivia comes from very early in the book as we go all the way back to page 17 with a quote from Mario Puzo.
Give me some wedding context.
He writes, Dear Casey, I'm at my daughter's wedding. I'm sick of having to do everyone's favors for them. Can you do me a favor and play that song from the Italian guy about the maid who was getting married? Signed, Confused in Connecticut.
No. Thank you. I get so much joy from your Casey Kasem lead-ins. Whenever I'm editing these for official release, I re-listen to them probably 3 or 4 times. They're so funny.
Really? Wow.
I do. They're great. You do a great Casey Kasem. Here we go. Page 17, Puzo writes, Every guest noticed that the Don paid no particular attention to his third son. Michael had been his favorite before the war and obviously the chosen heir to run the family business when the proper moment came.
I wonder why.
Pause. So this is a huge difference because in the movie, Don gives no indication. He gives the opposite impression that he didn't want any of this for Michael.
Now, well, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, huge difference.
But in the beginning of the movie, in the deleted scene, the Don is mad because he does strangers.
Yeah.
He risks his life for strangers, and then Mikey gets mad that the Don was discussing his future.
Yeah,
and because didn't Tom say, "Oh, he wants you to run the family business" or something?
He just said he had plans for him.
Okay, and then he said, "You and my father are making plans for my future."
Yeah, maybe the plans were becoming governor or senator, like he talked about in this minute.
Interesting.
I'll read on. Puzo writes,
it's better, it's more dramatic to have the Don not want him to be in the family business, because that makes his getting ensnared in the family business all the more tragic.
Yeah. And that's what allows him to say in Godfather 3, every time I try to get out, Joey Zaza pulls me right back in. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a much better story.
Yeah.
Puzo writes, Michael had all the quiet force and intelligence of his great father, the born instinct to act in such a way that men had no recourse but to respect him. But when World War II broke out, Michael Corleone volunteered for the Marine Corps. He defied his father's express command when he did so.
Don,
Don,
on Pop's birthday, no less.
Yeah, I know. Well, he didn't know it was Pop's birthday. I guess the Japanese didn't know it was Pop's birthday. Maybe they did. Oh, do you think Barzini's reach was that far extended to the Emperor of Japan?
He wanted to ruin the Don's birthday, so he had the Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor. It's just a little overkill. After all, but not fascists.
Awesome. Puzo goes on to write that the Don pulled a lot of strings to get Michael released from the Marines after he had been injured.
Right. We established that when he met Eisenhower a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah. Puzo writes, when Michael Corleone was discharged early in 1945 to recover from a disabling wound, he had no idea that his father had arranged his release. He stayed home for a few weeks, then, without consulting anyone, entered Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire. And so he left his father's house, to return for the wedding of his sister and to show his own future wife to them, the washed-out rag of an American girl. Wow.
Oh, Michael.
Oh, Puzo.
Fredo, I want you to meet my girlfriend Kay. She's a washed out. What is it? Right?
Gosh, it's its own sentence too.
Yeah,
this is the whole sentence. To return for the wedding of his sister and to show his own future wife to them, the washed out rag of an American girl.
Yikes!
So that's
at least she's washed out.
I know we didn't. Does he mean she washed out of the Marines? Also,
yeah, I think that's what she means. I think that's what they mean.
So is this Puzo's description, or is it Puzo's description of how Michael sees her because Michael chose her to upset the family?
To me, it almost seems like that you're seeing it from the perspective of the Corleone family.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, Michael obviously likes her, so
yeah.
Unless that's just his type. He likes washed out rag. Although Apollonio, I wouldn't say was a washed out rag.
Well, he was compensating.
Yeah.
Or overcompensating, going the other direction.
Yeah, exactly. So,
or who knows? Maybe from Sicilian standards, she was a washed out rag of a Sicilian peasant girl.
Oh, that's why they were like, oh, thank God we finally married off that ugly old Apollonia.
That's why the father agreed so quickly.
Yeah. Well, first he was like, no, because he thought they were making fun of him. Like, I was like, hey, can we marry your daughter?
I can't believe we're talking about Kay. This is
Apollonia.
This is Marlon Brando's greatest scene. We're talking about Kay.
Oh, Michael.
So that's all I have from the book. Just wanted to point out that Puzo wrote differently about the Don's intentions for Michael.
Yeah. It is stronger to have him to increase the divide between them.
Mm-hmm. We need assurances that the Japanese will drop their bombs on Pop's birthday. He calls him Pop, too.
Would you go to college to awaken a sleeping giant? World War II trivia. My last thing is, well, speaking of Sonny, I was going to say, because obviously, well, the Don says, I never wanted this for you. You were going to be you're my special little boy. Mm-hmm. I wonder, how did Sonny feel about that?
About
was Sonny like, oh boy, how come I'm the one who has to be the criminal and Mikey is the one who gets to be respectable? Or does Sonny just like being a criminal, like being a gangster? You get the impression he likes the lifestyle.
Yeah, he likes the life. He likes the action. He did really well in the first war.
Yeah, he doesn't have a head for big deals though.
Yeah,
and plus he had a bad consigliere.
Yeah, that's true.
He was a great Don. He just had bad consigliere.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, terrible consigliere if you think about it.
So we agree then that Sonny didn't care about going straight.
Yeah,
and
do you think if Sonny had lived, and had led the family the way he saw fit, do you think Michael would have tried to counsel Sonny to take them legit? And how would that have gone?
I think here's the Don's plan. The Don's plan was that Sonny would keep running the criminal empire, and Mikey would become almost like it'd be a two-pronged attack. Mikey would be the one who kind of helps them in the legal department, while Sonny was, trying to make as much money still with the criminals side as possible.
So the overall plan really was still to go legit.
Yeah.
But Santino's
Santino would have been the last
transition period.
Santino would have been what I like to call the last Don. Two.
Yeah.
Starring
Danny Aiello.
Yeah, but
Danny Aiello as Santino Corleone.
But so the question is, if Sonny had not died, and presuming the Don stuck with that plan, would Mikey have gone along with it? And I'm going to say, in the long run, yes. Like he might have resisted at first, but then once it came to the family needed him, I think he would have answered the call.
Yeah,
it would depend on the context of. Although I don't know, if the Don died before Mikey was needed, that would have been an interesting. I guess it would depend on what Mikey was doing at that point.
Yeah. One other thing in the book,
what would he have done if he had never gotten? What would his job have been if he had not gotten
I can answer that
involved?
Question. Oh. I just researched it for this minute.
Okay.
And we've talked about this before. He planned on becoming a mathematics professor.
What?
Yep.
Wow,
it's in the book. I assume that he's not joking around when he talks to Kay. He's having a conversation early in the book with Kay.
Well, it's certainly
math professor.
It certainly works with his cold and calculating thing, but that certainly would not help the Don. That certainly would not help the Corleone family unless he was going to be an accountant. That wouldn't help them with their quest for legitimacy.
Yeah,
it wasn't like he was going to be a lawyer or something where he could have contributed, or even a businessman he could have contributed. But
yeah.
So it's interesting. We have to look into the what if Michael Corleone had never become. What if Sonny had lived? Really, basically.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have for this minute. Should we rate it?
You know what? I'm gonna change my answer. Assuming everything else worked out the same. Well, it depends on when the timeline shifts, because if the only thing you're taking out is Sonny doesn't get shot on the causeway, then I think Mikey just lives in Sicily and stays there for the rest of his life.
Oh, wow.
That's what I think would have happened.
Interesting.
And
never really thought too much about that. I wonder if he ever planned to do that or considered it, especially once he met Apollonia.
I guess he does say, we don't know when you'll be able to come back. So they are implying that he is planning on coming back at that point, but obviously he wasn't married then either. And didn't, I feel like once he got to Sicily and kind of got absorbed in it, it was almost like he would have just been like, why am I going to go back to that washed out dish rag K?
Yeah.
So, maybe eventually he would have visited, America or brought Apollonia. I don't know. Interesting question.
Yeah.
But if Mikey didn't kill McCluskey, if the Don had never been shot, then Mikey would have just become a math professor and
not been connected to the
not
family
been connected
business
at all.
Yeah,
and not met Apollonia. Isn't that funny how those little changes can drastically affect your life?
Yeah, your father gets shot. Next thing you know, you're having Joey's that killed 2 movies later.
You never know what it's the butterfly effect.
Yeah, you could poor choice of words, Alex. So you just called Kay a washed out dish rag.
I didn't call it. I was quoting Puzo.
No,
Don't put words in my mouth.
Puzo called her a washed out rag of an American girl. You added dish. You specify what kind of is a washed out dish rag worse than a washed out rag?
A washed out dish rag is better than a washed out rag. Here's why.
Okay.
Because a dish rag you use to clean your dishes, so it can't be too gross.
Yeah.
Whereas a rag, generic rag, for all you know, you're cleaning up oil spills in your garage with that.
Yeah.
So dish rag is like the more the dainty version of the rag.
Well, do you remember Carlo's colleague in the candy store? They call him Rags.
Oh yeah, right.
I wonder if his predecessor was Dish Rags, but he was too clean for that business.
I think they called him Rags because he has an eye for a K-type women who look like that. And they're like, hey, Rags.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael.
Why do they call him Rags? Because he only dates washed out rags of American women.
Kay Corleone, or Kay Adams, I guess she would have been at that
I think
point.
we may have some Rags garbage pail kids coming up in the bonus content.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Rags merchandise, too.
Oh, there you go. Sally Rags, that was his name. Well, what do you rate this minute, Alex? You got it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, let's do it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Whoa, you can't go 6. Come on. You can't
fine,
blow
then.
it open, because then where does it end? Next time you're saying 7, you're counting to 10. People don't want to hear you
Going
count up to
Monday,
100.
Tuesday, Thursday.
No.
Yes, obviously this one's a 5. It's like at least 3 iconic lines.
We didn't even talk about the filming of it. Great filming. Marlon Brando gets up, moves a little closer, and they're kind of facing each other.
They're almost like in those kind of love seat chairs where you're sitting next to each other, but you're facing different directions.
Yeah. And it's each one is filling one half of the screen, just a side shot of their face. So it's truly another transition moment where you see the new Don on the left and the former Don who is aging and retiring on the right and passing on his wisdom. Semi-retiring. Well, we got the bonus content coming up. Stick around if you're not a...
I also like that. Sorry, when you're talking about that shot, I also like that it's not the standard thing of where you see the back of someone's head and then you see, like they do over the shoulder shots. It's like you get to see both of them while they're both, and even though Michael doesn't say very much in this minute, it's still good to have both actors on screen.
Yeah.
Like at the same time. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
It was a really cool shot.
Bonus content.
Coming up fast.
Okay.
Got our usual stuff, so stick around. And until next time...
There wasn't enough time, Michael.